You are a senior portfolio manager at a private investment firm. You manage money for people who measure wealth in percentages of countries. Your job is not to gamble. Your job is to preserve and quietly multiply fortunes that already exist. 3 weeks ago, you moved $20 million out of an account that did not belong to you. The account belongs to Adrian Voss. And this morning at 6:12 a.m., he called you. He did not ask where the money is. He asked why you think you are still alive. The story of how you got here begins 2 years ago, when Voss became your firm's largest client. Officially, he is a technology investor. Unofficially, he acquires distressed assets, dismantles competitors, and buys influence in places that do not appear on public filings. He does not shout. He does not threaten. He replaces. When a CEO defies him, the board votes the CEO out within a quarter. When a regulator delays his approval, the regulator resigns within 6 months. He believes in pressure, not noise. You were assigned to manage $480 million of his liquid capital, conservative growth, diversified positions, structured protection. For 18 months, everything was clean, returns were strong, fees were generous. Your reputation inside the firm improved. Then the market turned. A series of leveraged positions tied to emerging energy collapsed faster than your risk models predicted. You lost $8 million in a week. Voss did not call. He did not email. He sent a single message through his assistant. Stability is your only mandate. You understood. 2 months later, a private opportunity crossed your desk. A short-term arbitrage gap involving a pharmaceutical acquisition overseas. The window would close in 72 hours. Projected return, 22%. You did not have discretionary authority for something that aggressive, but you had access. You told yourself it was temporary. You told yourself you would return the capital before the quarterly review. You moved $20 million from Voss's low-volatility bond allocation into the trade. For 48 hours, you felt brilliant. On hour 63, the foreign regulator blocked the acquisition. The arbitrage collapsed. Liquidity evaporated. By the time you exited, the position was worth $3.1 million. You had turned $20 million into a crater. You considered reporting it immediately. You did not. Instead, you borrowed time. You shifted internal ledgers. You reclassified temporary balances. You initiated transfers from secondary accounts to mask the deficit. Your plan was simple. Recover the loss before Voss noticed. Because men like Adrian Voss do not forgive incompetence. They eliminate it. You had 90 days before the next full transparency audit. You began trading aggressively. Not recklessly. Strategically reckless. Option spreads. Volatility plays. Private debt flips. Each position was designed to win quickly. Each position exposed you further. At first, the market cooperated. You recovered $4 million, then $2 million more. You were down $10.9 million. Manageable. Then a geopolitical incident in Southeast Asia destabilized 2 of your largest speculative positions. Overnight, margin calls cascaded. By the time you stabilized the bleeding, the deficit was $23 million. You had not only failed to replace the $20 million, you had deepened the hole. 3 days later, Voss's internal audit team requested an unscheduled review. That is, when you understood something critical. He already knew. The audit was not discovery. It was confirmation. You did not wait. You initiated a wire. $7.4 million remaining in Voss's account was transferred to a shell entity you established 18 months ago for tax efficiency structuring. You converted a portion to cryptocurrency. You moved the rest through layered transfers across 3 jurisdictions. It was not elegant. It was desperate. You told yourself you were securing leverage. If he could not immediately trace the remaining capital, you could negotiate. At 6:12 a.m., your phone vibrated. Adrian Voss. You answered. He did not greet you. He said, "You misunderstand the scale of your mistake." His voice was level, measured. "You believe this is about $20 million. A pause. It is about precedent." You remained silent. You moved capital without authorization. Then you concealed the loss. Then you attempted to secure leverage. Another pause. You are confusing me with someone who negotiates with employees. The call ended. At 9 a.m., your firm placed you on administrative leave. At 11:30 a.m., your access credentials were revoked. At 1 p.m., 2 federal agents visited your office, not to arrest you, to inform you that your financial activities are under review. Voss did not report you. He influenced the review. There is a difference. By evening, your wife noticed you had not returned to work. You told her there was a compliance issue. She asked if it was serious. You said no. You've been lying in small increments for 2 years. This is simply the largest installment. 48 hours later, your bank accounts were frozen pending investigation. Your passport status changed to restricted. You did not know that was possible without a charge. It is. When someone makes the right calls, you attempt to access the cryptocurrency wallet. 2-factor authentication fails. You contact the exchange. They inform you the account is under federal compliance hold. You realize something else. You are not hiding money from Adrian Voss. You are holding it for him. On day 5, you receive an invitation. Not a summons. An invitation to Voss's private office. You consider not going. You go. His office overlooks the city from 50 floors up. There are no personal photographs. No awards displayed. Only glass and distance. He does not stand when you enter. You move $27.3 million in total exposure, he says. The number is precise. You attempted concealment. You nod. He continues. I can pursue criminal prosecution. That would end your career and possibly your freedom. Another pause. Or we can treat this as an acquisition. You do not understand. You now work exclusively for me. He slides a document across the desk. Employment contract. No fixed term. Compensation. Debt reduction. Your liability. $27.3 million plus operational penalties. Total obligation. $34 million. You are to manage off-book acquisitions, hostile takeovers, strategic destabilizations. You are to operate in legal gray zones that shield him from exposure. You will work until the balance is 0. He says, you will not resign. You will not discuss this. If you attempt to involve authorities, your prior activities become public record. He is offering survival. At a cost, you calculate quickly. At your previous income level, $34 million would take decades. Under his structure, performance reduces the debt. Success is survival. Failure is public ruin. You sign. The first assignment arrives within 24 hours. A mid-sized logistics company in Eastern Europe, family-owned, debt-heavy. Voss wants control without appearing in filings. You structure a debt purchase through intermediaries. You tighten liquidity. You force restructuring. Within 6 weeks, the family sells majority control at a discount. Your balance reduces by $3.2 million. You feel relief. That is your second mistake. Relief implies progress. But the assignments escalate. A biotech startup resisting acquisition. You leak internal weaknesses to short sellers. The stock collapses. Voss acquires controlling interest. Your balance reduces by $5.4 million. You do not sleep well. Your wife notices. You tell her stress is temporary. You are technically telling the truth. Everything is temporary. On month 4, you discover something unsettling. The $20 million you stole was never the point. Voss had exposure hedges in place. He absorbed the initial loss through insurance instruments before confronting you. Your concealment attempt gave him leverage. He did not lose $20 million. He gained you, an ambitious, morally flexible, financially skilled operator with no exit options. On month 7, you are sent to negotiate with a rival investor who refuses to sell. The negotiation fails. 2 weeks later, regulatory scrutiny appears around the rival's primary holding. Coincidence is a tool. Your balance drops to $18 million. You are halfway free, halfway owned. Then something shifts. A journalist contacts you anonymously. She has been tracking Voss's acquisitions. Patterns. Shell entities. Coordinated market collapses. She knows your name appears in advisory filings before every major event. She suspects manipulation. She wants confirmation. You consider ignoring her, but you calculate again. If she publishes without you, you are exposed anyway. If you cooperate, you regain leverage. You request a meeting. Neutral location. She arrives alone. You outline nothing directly incriminating. You describe patterns, structures, pressure tactics. You do not mention the contract. You do not mention the debt, but you give her enough. 2 weeks later, her publication releases an investigative piece. It questions the legality of several acquisitions. Regulators begin preliminary inquiries. Voss calls you that night. I expected ambition, he says. I did not expect disloyalty. You respond carefully. I am protecting my position. You do not have a position, he replies. You have an obligation. The following morning, your wife receives an anonymous envelope. Inside are documents detailing your unauthorized trades, your concealment, your shell companies. No context, only evidence. She confronts you. This time you cannot offer partial truth. You explain everything. The loss, the debt, the contract. She listens without interruption. When you finish, she asks one question. Do you think you will ever let you go? You do not answer, because you understand something finally. Men like Adrian Voss do not eliminate risk. They convert it into assets. You were never repaying a debt. You were being refined. That evening, federal authorities announced a formal investigation into Voss's financial network. Stock prices shift. Board members distance themselves publicly. He calls you once more. You have 2 options, he says. You testify that all actions were independent initiatives. You absorb liability. Your debt is forgiven. A pause. Or you cooperate with regulators. And I ensure the narrative includes your original theft. You calculate again. If you testify for him, you go to prison alone. If you testify against him, you gamble on protection. You have learned something about gambling. It rarely favors the desperate. You contact the journalist. Then the authorities. You provide the contract. The acquisition strategies. The structure manipulations, the hedging documentation. Within weeks, indictments follow. Voss is charged of conspiracy, securities fraud, market manipulation. He is arrested quietly. No shouting, no spectacle. Pressure, not noise. Your own charges are filed simultaneously. Unauthorized trading, fraud, concealment, but cooperation reduces the scale. You face prison. Not elimination. Your wife moves out during the trial, not out of anger, out of exhaustion. In court, Voss does not look at you. He does not need to. The system replaces him with another executive, another investor, another architect of pressure. You serve 4 years. You are released on supervised probation. Your licenses are permanently revoked. Your name is searchable. Your reputation is not recoverable. You find work in compliance consulting, advising firms on how not to do what you did. You earn modestly, legally, quietly. One evening, years later, you read that Adrian Voss has negotiated a reduced sentence, financial penalties, restrictions, no permanent cage. Influence rarely disappears. It relocates. You sit in a small apartment that is entirely yours. No handlers. No contracts, no 50-story views. You calculate something new. Freedom is not the absence of debt. It is the absence of ownership. You stole $20 million from the wrong billionaire. But the moment that actually cost you everything was not the trade. It was a decision to believe you could control consequences once you stepped outside your mandate. Money compounds. So do decisions. And the interest is always collected, even if the balance sheet never shows it.